Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I crocheted this button up beautiful cardigan. This is the yarn that I use. It's the Karen Slice of Anniversary Cake in the color Wave. There's 250 grams and 285 yards in one ball of yarn. And I used a little under 3 balls of yarn for this, and I'm about like a size small. I did make it a little cropped too, so you might need more or less. This yarn is a weight 6 and it recommends an 8mm hook, but I actually ended up using a 6mm hook. And although I love how it turned out, I still wish I used the 8mm hook. So use the 8mm hook. So you see that this cardigan is like a V-neck, but I didn't do any increasing or decreasing to make the V-neck. It's actually just a straight panel, like straight down. You see it now, how it's literally straight down. This cardigan is crocheted vertically, and so are the sleeves. So you're gonna wanna measure from the top of the shoulder here to however long you want it. So I'm measuring from here, and then I wanted it to end about right here. Like that's pretty cropped for me. And that doesn't include the little ribbing at the bottom because I added that at the very end. So if you want it literally down to the floor or up to here, you're just gonna measure how long you want it. And don't forget to keep in mind, especially if you're not using the same yarn as me, like how the yarn is gonna look after blocking, like if you're gonna steam it, if you're gonna wash it by hand or with the machine. Just keep in mind that it might expand a little bit too. So this cardigan is made up of 2 shoulder panels. So this is one straight panel, this is another straight panel, and then there is a back panel right here. But the 2 shoulder panels put together are not as wide as this whole back panel. They're a little bit shorter, so I left a little bit of space in the middle to actually allow a little separation, so there's like a little bit of tension so that the closure could kind of like pull it together instead of just like being together, if you know what I mean. The second measurement that you're gonna take is how wide your shoulders are. So like from the tip of your shoulder here to here. And that measurement is going to be the width of your back panel. So the first thing you're gonna do is grab your yarn and you're gonna make a slip knot, and then you're gonna chain the first measurement, the length of how long you want your cardigan, but chain the length of your cardigan. And then you're just gonna do regular rows of half double crochet until the panel is wide enough as the measurement, the second measurement of your back panel. And once you're done, I would kind of like put it behind you like this, kind of wear it like a cape. Look in the mirror, look behind you, make sure it's actually wide enough. And also keep in mind if you want it to be a little slightly oversized, maybe you want to make it just a little bit bigger. After you've completely finished your back panel, we're gonna make 2 more panels, which are the shoulder / front panels. And at the end, you're gonna sew them all together. But I did a total of 38 rows across for the back panel. But remember how I was telling you guys that the 2 shoulder panels aren't going to be the same amount of rows as the back panel combined. It's gonna be less rows. For one panel, I did 16, the other panel, I did 16. So these 2 are gonna be identical. 16 times 2 is 32. So I left about 6 rows in between. Chances are you're working with a different yarn, different weight, and 6 rows is not going to be the same. So I would leave about 3 inches of space. So however many rows is 3 inches. So what that looks like is when you lay the cardigan down. And I'm gonna unbutton the cardigan so you can actually see, but don't look at the sleeves. The sleeves aren't existent yet. You've crocheted 2 shoulder panels that are identical. You have about 3 to 4 inches in between these 2 shoulder panels. So once you have this is the important part, that we make sure that we're doing our slip stitches on what is the inside and we're keeping the outside what's on the outside. So for right now, you have this laid out. You should be able to just flap this up and then slip stitch this first panel onto the edge of the back panel. So you're just gonna take the corner here and then slip stitch it all the way through. You're gonna do the same same thing on this side where you attach the corner of the back panel, attach the corner of the shoulder panel, and then you slip stitch them together. And at this point, you should kind of be able to try it on, like put the shoulder flaps here. You have the back kind of hanging like a cape. And at this point, the sides are hanging open because they're not slip stitched together, but you can kind of do a fitting a little bit. Look at yourself in the mirror with this tried on. Kind of pinch the sides to see what it would fit like and what it would look like closed. But we're not going to be closing the sides yet because it is time to do the sleeves. So we're gonna get a measurement. We are gonna measure how long we want the sleeves. I made my sleeves a little bit too long for my liking. Like, I mean, the sleeves aren't really that long, but what I forgot to do, and this is what I'm gonna tell you guys, is that keep in mind, this shoulder panel kind of like adds to the sleeve. You see that? How the shoulder panel is like here. I crocheted for the length of the sleeve to start here, and that's why there's a little bit more space than I wanted. Like, it really covers my hand. It's still cute, but just keep that in mind. Personally, I would measure from the bottom of the shoulder, like not all the way up here, but maybe side shoulder, all the way to the wrist. But if you want like a 3/4 sleeve, you could do however long you want. Just measure from the side of the shoulder, something like this. So to make your first sleeve, what you're gonna do is you're gonna chain that measurement that you just took of how long you want the sleeve to be, of your arm from the bottom of the shoulder to wherever you want, to the bottom of the wrist, wherever. And then you're gonna do regular rows of half double crochet. And as you keep doing rows of half double crochet, it's gonna work up to be wide enough to be a sleeve. No increases, no shaping, no anything. It's just gonna be regular rows back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And to see if this really fits, okay, this is like a really big thing to keep in mind with the sleeves. Maybe it like goes all the way around your arm, you rest it here, and then kind of like pull the ends together and be like, oh yeah, it fits. But the real key to making sure these sleeves fit is if it fits underneath the armpit. Because if you have a sleeve that fits well here, but it rides all the way up your armpit, and when you put your arm down, you feel the seam right here, that's no good. It's comfortable. Did I just say comfortable? It's very uncomfortable. I've made that mistake before. Don't make it now. Once you think you're done, once you think you have the width of the sleeve of your liking, you're gonna take the two ends, like you're gonna rest kind of the middle of it on the top, and then you're gonna take the two ends and kind of squeeze it together here. Not at the top of your armpit, but you're gonna squeeze it together and then put your arm down and make sure you have enough space to kind of like move your arm every which way without it being uncomfortable, without it being tight, and without really feeling that seam. So now, at this point, you're feeling sure about the sleeve. You're gonna fold the panel in half. This is what my panel looks like folded in half. And then you're going to slip stitch up the side. And I'll turn it inside out so I can show you guys. This is where I slip stitch it together. So this is the part that gets a little bit tricky because we were just la-di-da-di-da making panels and seeing if it fits. And this may not be as hard for you as it was for me. I don't even know why. This took me so many tries. So I'm gonna try to explain this to you as well as I can. I don't know why I struggled with it. But to sew the first sleeve on, you've slip stitched it down. You don't cut off your yarn because you're going to slip stitch it onto the inside. So you see, this is the inside. This is the seam of which we slip stitched the shoulder panel onto the back panel. So it's the inside because it's where the seam shows. The slip stitch seam is gonna show on the inside of the sleeve, and you also want the slip stitch seam to be on the inside of like the armpit here. You guys see what I'm talking about? That right there. That's all on the inside. We're doing no slip stitching on the outside of the cardigan. So to do this, you're gonna make sure that the cardigan is inside out. Slip stitch seams are here. Your sleeve needs to be a hole which your arm can go through. So the top of this half, it will look like this for you. Like, you want to make sure this top is being sewed onto here and the bottom part is being sewed onto only this back panel, because that's what will allow it to be the hole. You know what I'm saying? It may look a little confusing, but it's honestly really easy. So my yarn is still attached from slip stitching the sleeve together, and then I'm going to attach my yarn to the very corner. So I took my hook and then I started slip stitching only on this top panel. And then once I got to here, once I got to this halfway fold point, I kind of flipped it around and connected the front shoulder panel to the back panel with the middle of the sleeve. So I'm like connecting it all together. But now I'm moving on to just crocheting onto the back panel, onto the other side of the sleeve now. So now I'm on this side and I'm slip stitching the back panel and the other side of the sleeve together here. And you can see my slip stitch seam here. And you can also see it on this side. So when I turn it inside out, so you shouldn't see those slip stitch seams on this side. You're gonna wanna do the same exact thing on the other side, make the exact same sleeve, exact amount of chains, exact amount of rows of half double crochets, fold it in half, slip stitch it up the side, slip stitch the sleeve around like this. And then once you've finished both sleeves, you're gonna wanna keep it inside out, because then you're also going to want the slip stitch seams to be on the inside when you slip stitch the sides together. So the sides at this point are still like hanging apart like this, and now you can finally slip stitch them together. Now after that is done, you can finally try on your cardigan. It's very functional at this point with the sleeves all together, with everything sewed together, but it's in need of some final touches at this point. It looks maybe looks bland, especially if you're using one solid color. It definitely needs some touches and stuff. We're gonna ignore this end that I didn't weave in. Well, I actually didn't weave in multiple ends, but we're gonna ignore that part. You're gonna weave in your ends. You're not gonna be like me. Since my cardigan was cropped, I decided that it would look way better, and just better in general, whether it was cropped or not, with a little trim at the bottom. And this isn't a very basic stitch, I wouldn't say. It's a front post, back post, half double crochet, where you crochet through the post, like lift up the post and do a half double crochet in it, and then do it from the back side, and then do it from the front side, and then do it from the back side. And that's what makes these like raised stitches right here. Or you could do a different ribbing where, since this is a vertical cardigan, you can just do regular rows of whatever stitch horizontally this time. And I really found that crocheting horizontally on the vertical cardigan made a really good ribbing. Really, really good ribbing. But then you may need a closure. I was thinking about doing a zipper. My commenters made me convinced that I could do a zipper on a cardigan, but then I realized that that would just be a jacket if I used a zipper. It's not even a cardigan anymore. But for me, my personal choice was buttons. You can do mix matched buttons. You can do just regular buttons. Like these buttons are just from my grandma's old sewing stash. And all I did was take thread that is the color of the yarn, and then I placed the button where I wanted it to. And then I took a needle with the thread attached, and I started from the back side, and then I went in through the back and then out through the front of the button there, out through the front of the button, into the next hole, out through the back, and like it looks really messy. It doesn't even look good, but that's probably the easiest part. And then you fasten off. And then I fastened off through the back of the button. Like when I was going back and forth, I ended pulling through the back and then tying it together, making a bunch of knots, cutting it off. And there's no special inserts for where to put the buttons. I just kind of shove the buttons through the stitches and it just works. And you can do buttons, you could do a tie, you don't have to do buttons, you could do a zipper, make a jacket. And that is kind of the end of the explanation. Weave in your ends. And now I'm kind of thinking, like, was that the worst explanation I've ever given? Let me know in the comments if this was like completely and utterly confusing, or if it actually helped you construct a functional piece. Let me know if you actually made anything from this explanation. I've never seen anybody do an explanation. I've only ever seen like in-depth tutorials about things, and I totally would do a tutorial, but I have been going through some crazy wrist pain. Like I can't seem to defeat it. It has been defeating me. And it's November, Christmas is coming up. I'm moving out out, so all of my money is going towards moving. So everybody is getting a crochet Christmas gift. So I couldn't spend my wrist time on making a tutorial. I'm sorry guys, but this is for all the people who asked me for a tutorial on the cardigan, and I really just hope this helps. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer them because I feel like the explanation was definitely not as good as it could be. But thank you guys for watching. New videos every Wednesday. Love you guys. Bye.
From time to time, I'ma hit the gas and ride the bitch. We driving real fast in the GTP on rest.